It all began in a tiny neighborhood on the edge of Cebu city, where narrow streets twist like vines, where houses are stacked closely like puzzle blocks, and where people learn to survive with whatever they can. For this boy, growing up here was not easy. Every day meant waking up early, helping his mother carry water, watching his father leave before sunrise to look for construction work. Meals were simple, sometimes too simple. But despite the challenges, he grew up surrounded by the warm and loud energy of Filipino communities. The sound of motorcycles, the smell of street food drifting in the air, kids playing outside even when the sun burned the ground, neighbors singing karaoke like their lives depended on it. In many ways, this environment shaped his soul, because he learned that even in struggle, there was always room for joy, laughter, and music. But he never saw himself as a singer. He never imagined being on a stage or singing in front of people. His family did not have any instruments. They did not have money for music lessons or vocal training. All they had was an old radio that sometimes lost signal and a neighbor who loved blasting classic songs from legendary artists. Every weekend, that neighbor would bring out speakers and play artists like Whitney Houston, Michael Bolton, Elvis Presley, Celine Dion, and every powerhouse vocalist imaginable. And although he never admitted it to anyone, he would stand behind a corner, out of sight, listening quietly. Something about those voices made him feel alive, like they were calling him into a world where pain does not exist, where time slows down, and where dreams suddenly feel real. One afternoon, when he was around 13, something happened that changed his life. His mother was washing clothes outside, and he was asked to fetch something from the house. He did not know the neighbor had turned on a powerful ballad at full volume. As he walked past, the chorus hit, strong and emotional. Without thinking, without planning, he started singing along softly. His mother froze. She had never heard him sing before. She thought maybe it was someone else. But when she looked up, she saw her son, standing there, voice trembling but pure, carrying a raw power that did not belong to a simple boy from the streets. She knew instantly that this voice was something rare. From that day, she encouraged him to sing more. At first, he was shy, embarrassed even. But slowly he started practicing behind the house, where no one could see him. He would listen to songs on the radio and try to copy the notes, the tone, the emotion. Over time, the neighbors began to notice. People would smile when they heard him practice. Some would clap, some would tell him he had a gift. He still did not believe them. He thought they were just being kind. Everything changed when a local charity group visited their community. They organized a small event and asked for volunteers to perform. His mother pushed him to join. When he stepped up on that little wooden stage, holding a microphone with shaky hands, he looked around nervously. The crowd was small, maybe 30 people. But for him, it felt like the entire world was watching. When the music started, his heart pounded like a drum. But then he opened his mouth and began to sing. For the first time in his life, he heard his own voice clearly through speakers. It felt like an electric current running through him. The crowd fell silent. Some people covered their mouths. Others stared with wide eyes. They could not believe that a shy boy from their own neighborhood had a voice like that. From that day forward, he became known as the kid with the golden voice. But life did not magically become easy. His family still struggled. Bills were still unpaid. And, although he dreamed of sharing his voice with the world, he had no idea how to reach that world. He did not have a phone or internet. He did not have money for recording equipment. But fate has a strange way of moving pieces at the right time. One evening, a tourist from the United Kingdom heard him singing near a basketball court. She was amazed. She approached him and asked if she could record him. He hesitated at first, but eventually agreed. She uploaded the video online, and within days it began spreading. People loved his voice. Comments poured in from all over the world. Some people said they cried listening to him. Some said he reminded them of legendary singers. Some asked how they could help him. The tourist reached out to his family and told them that his video had gone viral. She then said something that sounded impossible. She wanted to help him audition for Britain's Got Talent. His family could not believe it. They did not even know how to get a passport, how to apply for visas, or how to travel. But with the help of caring individuals, donations, and the kindness of strangers, everything began falling into place. Papers were processed, tickets were bought, and suddenly this boy, who had never been on a plane, who had never left Cebu, was traveling to the other side of the world to chase a dream he never even dared to dream. When he arrived in London, everything felt surreal. The cold air, the tall buildings, the massive crowds, the accents, the lights, the energy. He felt tiny in a world so big, but he kept reminding himself that he was here for a reason. On the day of his audition, he barely slept. He stared at the ceiling all night, imagining the stage, imagining the judges, imagining failing, imagining succeeding. His mind was a tornado of fear and hope. Backstage at Britain's Got Talent, he felt like he did not belong. Every performer around him seemed more confident, more prepared, more experienced. Some had costumes, some had instruments, some had years of training. He had none of that. He only had his voice. He sat quietly, holding a little rosary his mother gave him. He whispered a small prayer, not asking to win, not asking for fame, just asking for strength not to fail. Finally, his name was called. He stood up, heart racing so fast he thought he might faint. As he walked toward the stage, the lights grew brighter. The cheering grew louder. The world suddenly felt too big. When he stepped onto that stage, everything froze. He looked at the judges. The panel stared back, curious, unsure, ready to judge him. Simon Cowell looked at him with that familiar intense expression. The boy swallowed hard. Simon asked him a few questions. The boy answered shyly, his voice barely above a whisper. The audience listened. Some smiled at his innocence. Some felt emotional knowing he came from so far away. Simon then asked what he would sing. When the boy told him, Simon nodded but did not look convinced. The boy took a deep breath. The music began. The first note he released changed the atmosphere instantly. It was strong, pure, rich with emotion, carrying a depth far beyond his age. The judges leaned forward. The audience fell silent. With every note, he poured out years of struggle, years of hope, years of pain, and years of dreams he kept inside. His voice soared, echoing through the theater like a force of nature. People felt goosebumps. Some wiped tears. Even the tough critics could not hide their amazement. As he reached the chorus, the entire crowd erupted, cheering, clapping, screaming, urging him on. But he did not lose focus. He stood firmly, delivering every note like his life depended on it. By the time he reached the final high note, the audience was on their feet. A full standing ovation shook the room. The boy covered his mouth, shocked. Tears filled his eyes. He had never experienced anything like this. When the music faded, the applause continued endlessly. Simon Cowell stood up slowly, staring at him with a look that was rare. A look Simon only gives when he witnesses something unforgettable. Simon walked to the center of the panel. He did not speak immediately. He simply looked at the boy and said in a calm but emotional voice that he had just heard one of the most extraordinary voices ever to appear on the show. The boy could not move. He could not speak. His chest tightened with emotion. Then, Simon said something that made the entire theater gasp. He said that sometimes a voice is not just a voice, but a miracle. That this boy's performance was not just singing, but storytelling, healing, and breaking boundaries. And then, with no hesitation, Simon leaned forward and slammed his hand onto the golden buzzer. The theater exploded in cheers. Golden confetti rained down like a waterfall of dreams. The boy fell to his knees, overwhelmed by emotion. Tears streamed down his face. The judges clapped, the crowd screamed, and Simon walked onto the stage to hug him. For a boy who once sang behind a tiny house in Cebu, this moment felt unreal. This was not just a golden buzzer. It was a message to the world that talent can rise from anywhere, even from the poorest corners of the globe. After the show aired, millions of viewers reacted. People shared the video across social media. Fans from around the world praised his voice, his humility, his courage. Newspapers wrote about him. Interviews poured in. Opportunities opened. His community back home celebrated. His family cried with joy. Kids in Cebu looked up to him as a symbol of hope. The boy had silenced the world not with loudness, but with the purity of his heart expressed through his voice. In the weeks following, he worked harder than ever. He practiced with vocal coaches, trained his breathing, perfected his techniques. But he never changed as a person. He remained the same humble teen who once hid behind walls to sing. He spoke often about how he wanted to use his talent to help his family and support children who grew up like him. When he returned to the Britain's Got Talent stage for the semi-finals, the crowd welcomed him like a superstar. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, signs waved with his name. He stepped forward with confidence, wearing a simple outfit, staying true to himself. This time, his performance was even better. More powerful, more controlled, more emotional. The judges stood again. The crowd roared again. And Simon praised him again, calling him a once-in-a-generation voice. But the greatest thing about him was not just his voice. It was his spirit, a spirit built from hardship. A spirit strengthened by humility. A spirit shaped by love, family, community, and the simple belief that dreams are worth chasing even when they seem impossible. His journey became a story shared by millions. Parents showed it to their children. Teachers showed it to their students. Musicians reacted to it. Vocal coaches analyzed his technique. Inspirational speakers used his performance as an example of perseverance. His voice traveled across countries, across oceans, across cultures, connecting people through emotion. And now, as his life continues to change, he remains an inspiration for every child who feels unseen, every dreamer who feels unworthy, every talent hidden in silence. The message is clear. Greatness can come from anywhere. Even from a small neighborhood in Cebu where a boy once thought his voice did not matter. But today, it matters to the world. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more emotional stories, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that dreams can rise from the unlikeliest places. Stay tuned for more incredible stories. Until next time, keep believing, keep dreaming, and never let anyone tell you that your voice does not matter.